Diddy, or didn't he? Well, if he didn't, he's got a lot to explain. Well, apparently what Diddy's done now, which is a very interesting thing, is he's on the offensive of sorts. That's right, Sean Diddy Combs has initiated a $100 million defamation lawsuit.
You know that stomach-sinking feeling when you realize something is not just bad, but a complete catastrophe. That is exactly where Sean Diddy Combs finds himself right now. While the public has been distracted debating his prison sentence, his frantic attempt at a Trump pardon, and that chilling knife incident inside his Brooklyn jail cell, something even bigger has been unfolding quietly. And it all begins with a jet, his private jet. The very one he discreetly unloaded in October 2025 under what insiders describe as extremely desperate conditions. But here is where it gets crazy. Sources claim the buyers did not just walk away with a sleek Gulfstream G550. They may have unknowingly purchased a flying crime scene instead. Yes, really. Rumor has it the new owners are the ones contacting law enforcement. Just think about that for a moment, Diddy. The same man who once uploaded smug Instagram clips stepping onto that jet in designer shades with a smile that screamed no place like home is now locked behind bars, while that same aircraft becomes a fresh piece of evidence in what feels like an endless scandal. The tail number has been changed. The registration was shifted all the way to San Marino, as if ref flagging it could magically erase whatever was hidden inside. But from everything being whispered, that jet is carrying far more than old memories. It could be holding proof of something never meant to surface. Here's the thing about secrets. They never stay buried, especially when they are bolted to the wings of a $30 million jet. The new owners are reportedly in full panic mode. What they allegedly discovered was not leftover champagne or a forgotten designer shoe. This was far more disturbing. Reports claim they uncovered photos, recordings, and physical evidence tied directly to those infamous freak-offs that became central to Diddy's explosive trial. Prosecutors were clear during that case. They described the jet as more than transportation. It was a flying extension of his parties. According to testimony, women were allegedly manipulated, filmed, and left deeply traumatized. Imagine being the unlucky person who signed that purchase agreement. You thought you were buying a luxury aircraft, but instead you may have bought a nightmare. And now TikTok is buzzing nonstop. The timing makes this even wilder. October 2025, 6 months after his conviction, right as he was buried deep into his sentence, his appeals going nowhere, and his mercy letter to Trump reportedly tossed aside. This was not a calculated sale. It was a fire sale. A man sinking fast, dumping whatever he could before everything went under. And remember, this is the same jet that flew him to Antigua just a year earlier, right as federal agents were raiding his mansions in LA and Miami. The same jet he once showed off like a trophy, flexing as if he were untouchable, now gone, sold for what insiders say was far below its real worth. Something says this jet story is only beginning. When you are Diddy in 2025, liquid cash is not about wealth. It is about survival. That matte black jet with beige interiors and a pet-friendly setup is gone. The plane that once symbolized power now feels like a ticking bomb. The buyers did not just get a private jet. They inherited a massive liability that is dragging them straight into chaos. Word is they've already made some very uncomfortable phone calls to people desperate to know what is hiding inside that aircraft. And here is the deeper twist. This is not just about a plane. It is about what that plane represented at the height of his power. Diddy turned private aviation into a lifestyle brand. Combs Air. Remember that. The logo, the over-the-top branding, even the red carpet-style stairs waiting below as he made his dramatic climb like he ruled the sky. For a time, he acted like he owned the clouds. Now that same jet is being treated like a contaminated crime scene. Investigators are circling and questions are piling up faster than his legal bills. What was really found on board? Are there videos, photos, proof from those hotel nights prosecutors claimed involved women being pressured into acts never meant to be recorded? Whatever is stored on that jet's hard drives or hidden compartments could be the final piece that blows this whole thing wide open. Are we talking about real evidence? The kind that connects straight back to those high-profile raids where agents reportedly found all kinds of freak-off gear. And, let us be honest, if you have to look that term up, you are not ready for the details. But the scariest part is this. If that jet is hiding this much incriminating material, what else is still out there waiting to be discovered?
You know, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you.
And It's hard, you know.
Let us not forget this is the same man who, even after being convicted, had the audacity to handwrite a letter to Donald Trump begging for a pardon. A letter that practically dripped with desperation. And Trump did not just ignore it, he mocked it. Reporters say he waved it around, teasing the press like, oh, you want to see the letter, before doing absolutely nothing. You could almost picture the smirk, like a cat toying with its prey. And honestly, why would he intervene? Diddy was not just convicted, he was fully exposed. That trial did more than put him away. It ripped open years of allegations that sent even close industry allies running for cover. We are talking about a sentencing judge who openly stated that Diddy abused his power to exploit women. Not only physically, but emotionally and psychologically as well. Behavior that went far beyond the charges themselves. And his lawyers tried everything. They attempted to spin his swinger lifestyle as some harmless personal choice. But the jury was not fooled. Not even slightly. What happened in that courtroom did not just damage his image, it destroyed it. Now he is stuck in a place so brutal inmates call it hell on earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. Imagine cold metal bunks, paper-thin mattresses, and an atmosphere so tense that one wrong move can get you hurt. The last person who crossed the wrong line ended up with a knife at his throat. And yes, that was Diddy. Just weeks ago, according to people close to his team, he woke up in the middle of the night with a shiv pressed against his neck. A deadly warning from men who do not care who you used to party with. It does not matter if you once popped bottles with Jay-Z. Behind those walls, fame is worthless. Welcome to the real big leagues, Sean. But even locked up, the chaos keeps going. While the public focused on the knife incident and the failed pardon attempt, his attorneys were quietly filing appeals. They argue the judge overstepped, acting like a 13th juror when issuing that 50-month sentence. But let us be real. Appeals like that are long shots. And when you are staring down more than 100 lawsuits still waiting, even hope starts to fade. These cases stretch back decades. Story after story from women and men alike. Claims of manipulation, substances being used, and promises of fame or careers that never materialized. The parties that once seemed exclusive are now described as disturbing environments where the line between luxury and exploitation completely vanished. Each new accusation darkens the picture even more. At this stage, Diddy is not just fighting for freedom, he is fighting for whatever remains of his name. And now with that jet resurfacing like a ghost from his past, it feels like the walls are not just closing in, they are caving in. Take a moment to really absorb this downfall because the boldness of it is unreal. This is Sean Combs, a man who built an empire on pure swagger. He turned bad boy energy into a billion-dollar brand. One that had presidents, movie stars, and music legends lining up just to be seen beside him. Even as accusations piled higher than his awards, he believed he could talk his way out. And when that failed, he actually thought a handwritten letter to Donald Trump might save him.
And I think Sam Bankman-Fried were in the unit that was one floor above mine. You know, so in terms of like the setting, it's a fairly decent chance that the room I'm describing is similar to where Diddy is.
As if Trump, someone who feeds off public fallout, would suddenly rush in to save a person who once openly challenged him. Spoiler, he did not. Instead, Trump dismissed it like it meant nothing. Now Diddy is sitting in a freezing cell staring at dull gray cinder block walls. While the final pieces of his empire, his jet, his money, his image, are being torn away piece by piece like scavengers circling what remains of the man he once was. And the wildest part, this may not even be the final chapter, because if the rumors insiders are spreading are accurate, if the new jet owners truly uncovered what people claim they did, then this is not just another legal case waiting to surface. This could spark an entirely new investigation, another wave of headlines, and another brutal turn in a saga that already ranks among the craziest Hollywood has ever witnessed. It is starting to feel like something ripped straight from a chaotic Netflix drama, except this is not scripted, it is real, and Diddy is no longer in Control. He is not the boss or the decision-maker anymore. He is the man in an orange jail uniform forced to watch his collapse from the sidelines. But here is the reality. Diddy did not just lose a jet, he lost power, and when someone like Sean Combs loses control, the fallout is not quiet, it is explosive. This entire saga stretches far beyond a private plane, a pardon request, or even a prison term. It is about watching a self-made legend, once untouchable, completely fall apart. Each day delivers another humiliating headline, another hidden truth exposed, another reminder that the empire he built is now crumbling in front of everyone. And if this jet is only the beginning, then brace yourself, because judging by where this story is headed, we have barely scratched the surface. The real chaos may still be waiting to erupt. Now about that mysterious letter to Trump, because if selling the jet sounded desperate, wait until you hear what he was reportedly willing to offer in exchange for freedom. From what has been whispered, it feels like the kind of gamble only a man with nothing left would even consider. But that is a story for another time. For now, all eyes are still on that jet, wondering what is hidden beneath the polished leather seats and clean surfaces. How deep does this really go? Something says we are about to find out now. This is where things truly start to heat up, because let us be honest, Diddy selling that jet was not some random panic reaction, it was a calculated fire sale. And the destination, San Marino, yes, not the Cayman Islands, not some shadowy Delaware LLC. San Marino, that tiny European microstate most people could not even locate on a map, even if you handed them a globe. So the real question is why there? Why would a man who once mingled with presidents, CEOs, and Hollywood elites suddenly move his prized asset to a country so small it feels more like a fictional tax haven than a real place? Unless he was not just selling the jet, he was trying to conceal it, trying to hide evidence in plain sight. And if that is true, then the real mystery is not why he sold it, it is who he sold it to, who was trusted enough to take that plane, and what exactly were they meant to do with it once ownership changed. Let us rewind, because this is not the first time Diddy's private jet played a questionable role. Remember March 2024, the FBI raids on his LA and Miami mansions. While agents were breaking down doors, Diddy was already halfway to Antigua, flying high and out of reach. That does not look like coincidence. It looked like a man who sensed the pressure closing in and knew his jet was no longer just transportation. It was an escape route. He knew exactly how to move when the walls tightened, and now more than a year later, with his back pinned against that same wall again, Diddy is reaching for the same playbook. But this time, instead of flying away, he is selling the plane, and the million-dollar question is to who? Because here is the thing about San Marino, it is not just a random dot on a map, it is a place where privacy equals power, a place where ownership can change hands in an instant. Companies renamed, paperwork redirected, and everything blurred until no one really knows who owns what. So when we hear that the new owners are the ones contacting police, that is not just bad luck, that is a massive error. And for someone like Diddy, a man who spent decades mastering deals, a slip this big does not just happen. It suggests someone did not stick to the plan, or worse, someone flipped. Someone on the inside may have decided loyalty was no longer worth the risk. Now let us circle back to that letter to Trump, because if unloading the jet screamed desperation, this was on another level. A handwritten plea for a pardon slipped into the White House like a last-ditch love letter from behind bars. And not just any pardon, he was asking for a personal favor from one New York power broker to another. But here is the cold reality about Trump: he does not give favors. He trades in deals, and when he waved that letter in front of reporters, playing with it like a cat toying with prey, he was not just ridiculing Diddy, he was delivering a clear message: you are not special anymore. The same man who once moved among presidents, who hosted parties so exclusive the guest list read like a Forbes ranking, is now reduced to pleading, and not the kind that earns a call or a handshake. No, this was the kind that gets mocked, because Trump did not simply reject him, he put on a performance. He turned the rejection into a spectacle. Oh, would you like to see that letter? He teased reporters, holding it up like a trophy before sliding it away with that familiar grin like it was a collectible. And just like that, Diddy's final desperate Hail Mary became his most public embarrassment yet. But here is where the story truly bends, because that letter was not only a plea, it was a diversion, a way to pull attention toward Trump and the White House and away from what was really unfolding back in Brooklyn. While the public laughed at the failed pardon attempt, something far more serious was happening behind bars. Do not forget, he did not just write that letter, he sent it from prison, from inside one of the toughest facilities in the country, and according to his own camp, he survived a knife attack, a blade held to his throat in the middle of the night. That is not just violence, that is a message, because at MDC Brooklyn, where beds are cold steel and mattresses are thinner than a credit card, that kind of attack carries meaning. Fame does not protect you in there. That sort of warning does not appear out of nowhere. It comes with context, and in Diddy's case, the timing speaks volumes. So let us start connecting the dots. While he was trying to play chess with Trump, someone inside that prison was playing chess with him, and that knife at his throat was not random prison chaos. It was a signal, a harsh reminder that at MDC Brooklyn your safety depends on your last move. And Diddy's last move, selling that jet, the same one insiders claim held far more than luxury seats and surround sound. So the question now becomes, was that attack retaliation, a message from someone he crossed, or simply the price paid by a man who spent decades collecting enemies like trophies? Because when you have operated in as many dark corners of fame as Diddy, it becomes impossible to know where the next threat will come from. Here is the harsh truth about prison. It is not only about the sentence, it is about the debts. And if Diddy has anything, it is unpaid debts, financial, personal, and otherwise. But let us not rush ahead, because while the knife attack shocked the world, another storm was quietly forming. One that did not need a weapon to destroy his name. It cut deeper, and it was approaching fast. Think R. Kelly or Ghislaine Maxwell, two figures who learned the hard way that celebrity means nothing once the doors close. We are talking about lawsuits, more than 100 of them, accusations spanning decades, with women and men stepping forward, sharing stories that, if even half are accurate, paint a disturbing portrait of someone who treated people as disposable tools to be used and discarded. And now, with that private jet resurfacing like a ghost from his past, every image, every recording, every trace of what happened on board could unlock a new legal disaster. Because let us be real, Diddy's criminal case was not the finale, it was the opening scene. The conviction was the appetizer. The real course, the one about to get ugly, is the wave of civil suits, appeals, and fresh probes that could crash down once investigators dig into whatever the plane's new owners handed over, especially now that those owners are reportedly speaking with police. And that is where the story reveals whether this was Diddy's final stroke of brilliance or his biggest miscalculation yet. Because if that jet truly holds the kind of damaging details insiders keep hinting at, then selling it was not just a last-minute cash grab. It was a calculated risk, a dangerous bet that whoever purchased it would keep silent, that the past would remain buried for good. But that is the problem with gambles. They do not always pay off. And when you are Diddy, losing is not just about missing out on a few $1 million. It means facing yet another wave of lawsuits, deeper investigations, and possibly the one thing even money cannot erase, the truth becoming public for everyone to see. It means the entire house of cards is trembling at its foundation. Because if those new jet owners really discovered what people are quietly talking about, then this is not just another lawsuit. This could erupt into a fresh criminal probe, another cycle of explosive headlines, another vicious turn in a story so extreme it makes Tiger King feel like a calm PBS documentary. So here is the real question no one is asking. What happens when the man who built an empire on secrecy can no longer keep those secrets? Right now, Diddy is not just battling a conviction. He is fighting for whatever remains of his legacy. And every time a new accuser steps forward, every time another piece of evidence surfaces, every time some new jet owner starts calling the authorities, that legacy grows more toxic. That jet was not just transportation. It was a symbol of status, a moving monument to his power, his wealth, and the illusion that rules did not apply to him. And now that same jet has turned into a liability, swinging back like a boomerang, ready to hit him head-on. The thing he showed off the most could end up being what finally brings him down. But here is the angle everyone is overlooking. While the world is fixated on the jet, the knife attack, and that pardon letter, there is another part of this puzzle that matters just as much. The money. Because Diddy was not limited to one aircraft. He had mansions, exotic cars, record labels, and massive business ties with people who do not simply walk away when things collapse. So the real mystery is, where is the money now? If those assets started shifting right before everything fell apart, then maybe this was not just a man unraveling. It was a man trying to erase his tracks. And if there is one thing we know about Diddy, it is that he is not the type to go down without a serious fight. And when you talk about a fight, that means leverage. The kind that comes from powerful allies, old favors, and secrets stored away like loaded weapons. Because while the world is busy tallying Diddy's losses, his freedom, his jet, his image, do not forget this man still has moves left to make. And if history has shown us anything, it is that Diddy does not hesitate to get his hands dirty when survival is on the line. So where does that leave him now? We are watching a man stripped of nearly everything. His freedom, his jet, and if the rumors hold true, even his final layer of deniability. The lawsuits are stacking up. The walls are closing in, and the spotlight that once turned him into a legend is now revealing every shadow he tried to keep hidden. He is facing a future where the only thing still under his control is how loud his fall will be. And if this jet is really only the tip of the iceberg, then brace yourself, because we have not even seen the full wreckage yet. Icebergs are enormous. And Diddy's past is a maze of deals, scandals, and secrets that run far deeper than anyone ever expected. So as we watch this empire collapse in real time, there is one chilling question hanging over everything. What else is still out there? What other pieces of his history are buried, waiting to rise? And who is bold enough to dig them up? What other planes? What other properties? What other secrets are still waiting to surface? Because if there is one thing we have learned about men like Sean Combs, it is that their empires are not built on one dirty secret. They are built on dozens. And if this jet is any indication, then we have only scratched the surface of what is hidden beneath the shine and fame. So tell us, what do you think is still buried? Hidden accounts, private vaults, more evidence sitting in places no one has dared to search yet? Something tells us the story is far from finished. The deeper people dig, the darker it appears. And when the next twist lands, you will definitely want to be watching, because if history is any guide, this saga is not slowing down. It is only getting hotter. The jet was just the beginning, the spark that ignited a fire that could burn through everything he built. Remember, the higher they rise, the harder they crash. And did he? He was always flying far too close to the sun. So stay locked in, stay curious, stay skeptical, and do not blink, because the next chapter is coming sooner than anyone expects. And hey, if you have been following this insane ride, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. Trust us, you are not going to want to miss what comes.